Texas cities top every list for fastest growing cities and most affordable cities. And every time I talk to someone considering moving to Texas, the reasons are jobs and affordability. Now, is Texas actually affordable? In this video, we're going to go through the reasons people think it's affordable, and we're going to talk about the reasons maybe it's not as affordable. Plus, we're going to go through all the major cities to see how they stack up. And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you the #1 most affordable city to move to in Texas. And hey, look, we put a lot of work in these videos, so I'd really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you like or don't like this video, make sure you drop me a comment below, and I'd love to respond and give you more information and hear from you as well. All right, now on to the video. One of the major reasons that people look at moving to Texas is really the jobs and the economy. Now, Texas has the 4th largest economy in the world and the 2nd highest in the country. So that's one major reason people are coming here. Now, look, we have a lot of great jobs from oil and gas, healthcare, and we are growing like crazy in the tech industries. So that's one reason people are really considering moving to Texas. The second reason why people think Texas is affordable is actually the housing prices. 70% of the homes in Texas are below $270,000. And if you're coming from a very high-priced home area, that's really affordable. If you're coming from a lower-priced area where you're buying homes in the $190,000, $270,000 as an average is quite high. So on one hand, yes, it is quite affordable. On the other hand, it maybe not be affordable for some people. Now, the third reason on the list that most people are considering Texas and they think it's affordable is actually the no state income tax. That is a huge benefit, yes, and it is great, and that is why a lot of companies are coming to Texas and bringing their companies here, and that's why we're having such a booming economy and our overall unemployment rate is so low. And the reality is you have to make up that lost revenue somewhere, so we have really high property taxes. Now, in Austin, where I live, the average is about 2.21%. But if you're buying in a new build area, it is 3.16, even higher. And most of the state is around 2.5%, depending on where you're going. And if you're in a high mud district or mandatory utility district, those costs are going to be even higher. Also, HOAs are quite expensive in Texas. Now, they could be in most neighborhoods about $100 a month, which gives you about $1,200 a year, and they have a lot of power in Texas. So that's another reason why maybe it's not as affordable as people think. So let's do some quick numbers here. Let's go off $275 for an average price, okay? So let's look and say you have an average property tax of 2.5%. So, and then let's go off of $100 a month for HOA. $6,875 a year just in property taxes, plus another $1,200 in HOA. That gives you an extra $672 a month on top of your mortgage. So while Texas does have more affordable homes, it does have higher property taxes, so it maybe not as quite affordable as most people think. Okay, now let's check out the major cities and see how they stack up in affordability versus the rest of the US. The website I'm going to use for this is bestplaces.net. I find that they have a lot of good information on there. And if you're going to be searching anywhere in the US, I think it's a good website to kind of get some basic information about zip codes or cities themselves. All right, so I live in Austin, Texas, so let's start with Austin, Texas. Now, let's look at Austin, Texas as far as the cost of living is concerned. Now, the overall cost of living for Austin is about 119% of the actual US. If you compare that to Texas, Texas is about 93%. So Texas is a little bit more affordable than the rest of the country. Now let's look at the next, which is groceries. Groceries is 96.7%. Healthcare, 94%. Housing, 159%. Now this is what I was talking about when we got into this video, is that the housing costs can go up depending on the city you're in. The median price in Austin off of this is actually $369,000. It's considerably higher. It's closer to $400,000, but this is a pretty solid number because you can find areas in Austin that are below $300,000. They are hard to find, but on the fringe areas, they are available. Let's look at the overall utilities. Overall utilities for Austin are pretty comparable to the rest of the country. Transportation is one of those things that's really tough because Austin does not have very good mass transit, and if you're going to be using some freeways actually have toll roads, so there are more costs there. Miscellaneous is about the same as the rest of the state. Let's look at the overall price for rentals if you're going to rent. Let's go off of average for a 2-bed. You're looking at The United States is about 1148. Austin is about 1315, and Central Austin about 1437. So it is a little bit higher rental if you're gonna move to Austin. But the great thing about Austin is there are a lot more tech jobs. So you kind of, Austin is just one of those cities that has even the highest overall incomes. Next on this list is actually going to be Fort Worth. So let's look at the cost of living for Fort Worth. Now, the cost of living for Fort Worth overall is about 99.8% of the U.S. So it's pretty much on par for the rest of the U.S. Again, compare that to Texas as a whole at 93.9. Groceries are a little bit lower than the U.S. average, 97. Healthcare is kind of right on par. Housing is 85%, and that's about 197,000. I think really if you talk to any local agents there, and I can put you in touch, it's probably going to be closer to about 217,000, but it's pretty close. And if you compare that to the U.S. is 231,000 on the average. So it is right around the average, I would say. Utilities are right on par. Transportation, again, you're gonna have a lot of toll roads in Dallas. You're gonna have to use a car, so not as great mass transit systems. Miscellaneous about 108%. Let's go down to 2-bedroom rentals. If you're doing a 1-bedroom, go ahead and look on here, but I'm going off 2 bedrooms. So Fort Worth as a whole is actually higher than the United States average with 1161, and it is. And if you look at Dallas is about 1201. So overall, Fort Worth is kind of on par with the rest of the United States as far as price goes. So let's actually look at Dallas now and see what Dallas is like. Dallas is about 101% of the national average. So, I mean, it is going to be a little bit higher in Dallas. Grocery is right on par with US. Healthcare is 94, so healthcare is a little bit cheaper, which is good, of the 100%. Housing is 92%. So again, this is about 214,000, which I think it's going to be a little bit closer in Dallas to that 231 mark. But overall, I mean, really great. If you look at utilities are right on par with the national average. So not really cheaper than the national average. Transportation is higher. Again, same issues, toll roads, sitting in cars. The great thing about Texas is that the gas prices are lower, so that's nice. One other thing to note is that gas prices are lower in Texas, which is great. I came from California personally, so comparing that to this it's a huge difference. Transportation about 117%, so it is going to cost you a little bit more. Let's look at rentals if you're going to rent. And I think we kind of touched on this in the last part, but rentals are a little bit higher than the national average. If you're looking at the national average as 1,148 for a 2-bedroom, it's about 1,217. It might be a little bit higher depending on where you are. There you go. Keep in mind, I'm giving you the median prices on homes and rentals here. If you want more information about a specific area, reach out. I'll put you in touch with a good real estate agent in whatever area you're looking in, and they can give you better information. I can tell you personally, Austin, you have to go outside of Austin to get under that 369. It's actually more like $400,000 price point. I can give you a good list of great properties and great areas under that. All right, so let's go. We're gonna look at Houston now. Houston's cost of living is actually 96.5%, which is considerably lower than the national average. If you look at Texas as a whole, it's closer to that 93.4. Grocery is cheaper than the national average. Healthcare is lower than the national average, which is great. Housing is 80%. I think you're going to find some better deals in Houston in general than you would in Austin or Dallas, but those prices are under the national average of 231,000. Utilities wise, it is a little bit cheaper in Houston. Transportation still higher than the national average because you're gonna have toll roads and it's more expensive. You're gonna have to drive. Miscellaneous about 100%. Now let's look at rentals. Houston overall is a little bit lower depending on where you're living, and it's kind of really close to the spot on to the national average, 1148. I mean, you're pretty close to it there. Okay, now let's look at the sister city to Austin. Well, not really, but let's look at San Antonio. I love San Antonio personally. I love the Riverwalk. I have a lot of great friends in San Antonio. I go down there quite often because it is a pretty nice place, and it's closer than driving to Dallas or Houston from me. All right, so let's look at the cost of living. So overall, Houston is about 89.7%, so it's much lower than the national average and actually lower than Texas in general. Groceries, you're looking about 91%, which is lower than Texas average. Healthcare, 93%, still lower than Texas average. Housing, 75.9, way lower, and you're looking at about a median price for $175,000. It might be a little bit higher now, about $186,000, but you're still well under that $200,000 price point. So, you know, you do have a little bit more affordability. Utilities are lower, transportation's lower, and miscellaneous. The one thing about transportation in San Antonio is San Antonio doesn't really have great mass transit, but they don't have as many toll roads either. So there's that. Also, if you're looking at the average for a 2-bedroom, it's actually going to be lower than the national average if you're getting a rental in San Antonio. All right, this actually brings us to why we're here. You wanted to know the #1 cheapest, most affordable place to live in Texas. Well, that is, drumroll please, that is going to be Brownsville, Texas. Now, Brownsville is right on the border of Texas and Mexico. It's actually very close to one of my favorite cities, and that is South Padre. Really great beaches down at South Padre, very close. But overall for Brownsville, it's about 70.3%, well below the national average. Groceries and shopping, well below the national average. Healthcare below 87%. Housing 38%. You can buy a place in Brownsville under $100,000. Wow, that's impressive. Okay, utilities are lower, transportation's lower, and miscellaneous. If you want to get a 2-bedroom rental there, you are looking about $718 to about $838. There you go. All right, thanks for watching this video. Jeremy Knight with the Knight Group, I appreciate you. Make sure you watch a video on things you should know about moving to Texas, or I have another great video, things you should know about moving to Austin if you're considering Austin. Again, if you are thinking about moving to Texas and you don't know where to go, reach out to me and I can put you in touch with a great realtor in the area you're looking. Have an awesome day.